Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And I do want to remind everybody that I do have an eBay store, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. So if you go there and you buy some comics from me, I do include bonuses, and I have some freebies that are being offered right now because a bunch of my friends in the comic industry have sent me a whole box of stuff that they want in my orders. So go buy my comics, guys, is all I'm going to say. But enough about that, because I have with me Cosplayer Sindiroo COSplay. So welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I am excited to have you on. Obviously, I reached out to you, I think, what was it, in August or September? And then you had some stuff going on. And then you circled back to me. I was going to circle back to you in January, but I said, hey, why not do it right now? And here we are. So I'm very excited to have you on, as I stated. And we're going to talk about a bunch of your cosplays. But before we do that, I am curious how you got into cosplay, because everybody has a different way how they got into the industry.
So, well, I've always done drama and theater and have enjoyed going to the theater. So it's just been a part of my life. My mom also did theater, and it's just always been there. And then we lived in Dubai for a while. And when we moved back to America, my husband was like, hey, there's this convention in the next city over. You want to go? And I was like, wait, conventions? That means I need to dress up. So I said, yeah, let's go. But I had to run upstairs and throw together uh, some kind of costume. I was like, let me just see what I could throw together. And we had just watched Jessica Jones. So I was like, oh, I can pull off Jessica Jones. She wears a lot of clothes similar to mine. So threw on an outfit, and that was my very, very first experience going to a convention and doing a closet cosplay. So, and that was in December of 2015. So that would have been my first time.
So let's actually talk about that. So what was that experience like? Because obviously 2015 was a different era in cosplay. And then 2023. Then we went through the COVID era, which changed everything. And now we're in the post-COVID era. And so what was that like? Because there's a lot of stuff that was, and I don't even remember 2015. Now that I think about it, I mean, this is not good technically that I don't remember 2015. But anyway, I digress. But what was that like, doing your first one and having even that experience? Because it is an interesting first time when you cosplay at a con.
So, yeah, I was in awe of everybody else, and I was like, wow, these people, they really go all out. And I was kind of fangirling over lots of people, seeing a lot of my comic book heroes for the first time all dressed up and people looking so great. And it's so interesting because people that I met for the first time there that I was like fangirling over are now a part of my world. They're people that I do things with often. And it was like I would say I really, really got into it in about 2018, just before the whole. So I had a good solid year of real cosplay and meeting all these people. And I'm like sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm like looking at my phone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this picture I took at this Comic-Con back in 2015, because I'm also a photographer. So I was shooting people. I'm like, that's you. And they're like, oh my gosh, that is me. And
So
I,
let's actually talk about this, because this is interesting. And then we're going to swing it back to cosplay. But obviously, I do a lot of networking in a lot of different areas. So obviously, I'm involved in comics, I'm involved in voice acting, I deal with authors, I have a lot of friends in finance, and I'm all over the place on this show. And I love it because A, it keeps me busy, keeps me interesting, but also you never know who is going to know who. And what is that like? Because obviously, being a photographer and meeting all these people and shooting all these people, and then fast forward, you are now in their world, they're in yours, and you're doing stuff together. I mean, that has expanded your audience. It also probably has gotten you in certain circles that has benefited you in other ways. And so what is that like? Because I think it's a real skill to understand how to network in cosplay. And I think some people get it and some people don't.
For me, um, it really is interesting because I love also the cause, cosplaying for a cause part of it as well. So that part of it, being able to connect with people who have those connections and are like, I have a friend in San Jose. He's like, hey, he does this yearly thing where he hands out teddy bears to children in the hospital. Unfortunately, I can't do it this year because my daughter is expecting a baby. So I'm like, I can't really commit to stuff because I don't know when that's happening. So I was able to, meet with him and get that connection. Then going to other cosplays and then meeting other photographers, doing that and working with them. I've also then expanded the cosplayers that I know. And then I'm like, oh, well, can I shoot with you too? And it's kind of torn because now I don't like carrying my camera around at a con anymore, especially if I dress up. But every once in a while, I do. Like if there's any, for example, this past weekend, I was at LA Comic Con and a group of my friends did the Hellfire Gala Walk. And I was like, oh, I'll photograph it. So I'll bring the camera down, but I'm only going to have the camera on the con floor that day. So, and that was great. And I just released those photos and it's just wonderful. And I guess today,
You might have met my business partner of mine. He was at LA Comic Con.
oh, it's very possible. I met a lot of people that were in production. I can't remember all the names right now, but I can't tell you how many people were handing me cards and were like, "Hey, I'm in production here.
Oh,
I do."
I think my friend and my business partner in a limited liability position was at a booth, and he was a cosplayer at a booth, and he has some cool stuff. And I don't know if you know who DJ Croft is.
Oh, I definitely know DJ.
I love DJ. I love DJ,
Yeah,
and
DJ is amazing. So
DJ was on my Kickstarter. And I don't know if you went by his booth, but he has those metal cards. That's my logo. And
yeah,
him.
let's see. DJ, I went by your booth 5 times and never found you at your booth. But when I was exiting the con to go down to the floor, I ran into DJ and we were able to get a photo. But it was also hard because I was at the booth that I was at LA with because I work with Project Wish Upon a Star, which is a charity. And so we had a booth there and I was mostly at that booth.
So let's actually even talk about this even on just a relationship between other photographers as well as cosplayers and just getting into who they're shooting and being shot and all that stuff, because it is very important in which that there are photographers who know other photographers. And I mean, I don't know anything about shooting. My dad knows how to shoot. That's the photo behind. He shot that thing when he was in Africa with a camera, I want to make that crystal clear. He goes on safaris with a camera. You don't want to have a gun in Kenya, in the Masai Mara. You will not come out of that alive.
Yeah.
This is your PSA of the day, everybody. I'm just letting everybody know. If you didn't hear it from me, you didn't, just Google it. But anyway, what is that like to get into those circles and then also understanding, hey, when you're shooting a cosplayer, getting into their circle too, because they know photographers and it's kind of all one big circle a little bit. And also kind of just getting lay of the land because things have changed, I feel. At cons, things have changed in how things are done. And, they're constantly shifting. And so knowing somebody who kind of has a sense where it's going is very important at the moment.
I think before there may have been a big separation of these are the photographers and these are the cosplayers. But I think nowadays, like I know at least with our little cos family, our photographers are a real integral part of our cos family. We like do so much together now that it's all, when you go to a con, half of it is just to go say hi to your photographer friends too and hang out with them and to
Do you
see what they're doing.
So let me ask this because, and I'm curious how you feel,
Mm.
and we're gonna answer some of your cosplays, but I am curious because, and I'll tell you my opinion first. I feel gatekeeping has come down in cosplay, and I'm not a cosplayer. I've been, interviewing cosplayers for almost 10 years, and I've seen the last four. I've done a lot of this, and what I noticed in COVID, and I'm curious what you think, is that I feel that the upper echelon gave up a lot of ground. I felt that this new group of kids and other people and newcomers in cosplay gained a lot of ground. And I feel that gatekeeping has been significantly lowered in this sector, where somebody who had 40 followers now has 20, 25,000 followers, because I felt COVID was an equalizer. And even now, when I'm hearing from people at cons, I feel that that is staying in more effect, and it goes back to photographers, where I even feel photographers before might not shoot with certain people, and that has become lowered, and that sort of has broken a little bit away from, oh, the bourgeoisie, whatever you want to call that, of the upper echelon, because it was the top 50 female
Mm.
cosplayers, and I feel like that has been broken, not completely, but significantly. And I'm curious how you feel about that, and I understand we're entering controversial territory on this. I'm well
Uh,
aware.
I don't know. All I can say is my philosophy is that every cosplayer, regardless of if it's their very first time cosplaying or if they're a seasoned professional, all deserve great photos. So I aim to try to shoot everybody. I even when I work with the Weekend Blender with Die Hard and Sons, and I set up a photo booth, and I encourage every single person to come get a professional cosplay photo. And I do when I'm at these events, I do the little mini sessions, for free, and I let them download the photos for free just so they have some quality stuff. And I I mean, I still do professional shoots too. Like if somebody wants to go out on location and do it that way, then it's a whole different story. But I just do it on a black screen so that they can put, if they're doing Pokemon, they can put the battlefield behind them or whatever they want to do. And so
You,
I think I agree with you in that everybody now has the access to get those good quality photos. And I think there is a lot more accepting, but I mean, of course, I mean, like with anything, you're going to have people that don't want to associate with other people because they don't want to, and they only work with this photographer or they only partner up with this cosplayer. But I, I think there is definitely in the cosplay world now and the photographer world. So, I mean, you still see it though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've been snubbed by photographers.
yeah,
You
well,
know.
I have a solution for all that. Uh,
uh,
no, no, no. I've been very open about this. Where I've been snugged by people on interviewing. I've been snugged at cons when I ask for things. I've been snugged in a lot of ways, and I say, "Cool, I'll just work twice or four or five times harder." And all of a sudden, what will happen is that when I'll hit you up and I'll be 10 times the size, we're gonna have this weird conversation about, remember the time you snugged me, and I don't let it go, and I make it a point to say, don't snug me, because I like to make examples out of people. I really do, because I think that is the only way we get change. And I
See,
think I take a very hard line, controversial opinion on this, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying what I do, in which that I will outwork somebody to prove that I should not have been snugged. And
I'm more of a treat the flies with honey kind of person. I'll still be kind to them and I'll still be nice to them, even if because honestly, I know enough great photographers that I really don't need the photo
you're more
because
mature than I
I
am.
know somebody who is going to get a awesome shot. And I mean, and the next time around, maybe maybe
Let's
maybe the cosplay just wasn't something they liked, or maybe who knows? You never
so
know. And maybe they just had a bad lunch and they weren't feeling well when they passed.
Fair enough, fair enough. But But you touched upon something that I think is actually really interesting, is that you do mini sessions and you offer, free, mini sessions for anybody who wants a photo to get a professional one done. And then they could download it. And I think that's actually really interesting because I think it is important sometimes for somebody to understand what type of standard they should be looking for. When I first started doing interviews 10 years ago, I looked at a lot of people. I looked at Joe Rogan. Um I looked at Larry King. I looked at, the way I'm going to mention a bunch of names here. I've looked at the way Ben Shapiro does an interview. I looked at the way Dave Rubin did something. I looked at the way the Young Turks did stuff. And I looked at about 30 people, the way they did interviews. And all the people that I just named run things professionally, whether you agree with them or not, but they run professional operations. And that's kind of what I wanted, a standard. And I looked at Howard Stern and a bunch of other people. And I think it's very important that people have an idea that, oh, this is what a professional photo should look like. Because unfortunately, and I don't know how you feel, but there's a lot of people in my world, and I don't know about photography, that are not professional. And I feel that, as a cosplayer, you need to understand what standard you need to be looking for if you're paying for something, or even if you're not paying for something, on what you're getting. And I think it's a real issue. And I think it's actually a really cool thing that you're doing with that. So I think it's so important on an education level to provide a base level of what to expect.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm like, yeah, and every photographer that you work with is going to have a different style. Like, I tend to like cooler, darker photos, and I have friends that do warmer, bright photos, and there's all these different ways of doing things. So I did a shoot with a friend the other day, and I sent him two choices. I'm like, which aesthetic feels better for you? Because I knew that I liked this one, but the photos were for them, so I wanted to edit them so they met their, the look they were going for, and they preferred the brighter, more detailed kind of look over the uh, darker aesthetic. So I was like, okay, so but at least that gave me a baseline of how to do it and how to edit and where to work from with those. And those are important things to so I have a little harder time in front of the camera than behind the camera. Like, I can direct cosplayers, but once I get in front of the camera, I'm like, please tell me what to do. Tell me what to put, how to pose. Tell me where to put my hand. Uh, it's very different when you're watching somebody, as and you're like, okay, I know this character, but when you are being that character and you can't see yourself, it's harder. It's a lot harder.
That's so interesting. I'm very much yeah, actually, no, that's not true. I am a much better interviewer than I am a guest. Um, I that doesn't mean it depends on the topic. So if we're talking about financials, I am the guest, because the way I break things down, and the way, and I have a unique approach. And as an alternative investor, there are so few of us who are articulate and very good at what we do. And I'm an amazing guest in that sector, but like on pop culture, I'm like the worst guest possible. I'm,
So, Andrew, what is your
yeah,
favorite
right.
comic?
Oh, it's just terrible. In which that it just doesn't work, and I'm a much better interviewer in that space. And so I rarely do interviews in that sector, because I don't find that it just doesn't work. Like, I'm not. It also is that I need the right person to match my energy, and it's hard for me to tear down in certain environments where I need somebody to come up to my energy or get close to me so I can match it. And that's just how I function as an interviewer. And but I completely get it. I find that so fascinating, because it's so, like, I relate is what it is. But I digress. Since we are going to be speaking about you in front of the camera, we should talk about your cosplays. And you've done a bunch of stuff. And we'll get out my I am Team DC, so we will address the Marvel stuff first. But I know you've done a bunch of Marvel stuff. I think you've done Jubilee from Generation X, and I love Generation X. I loved the first one, and I thought the second one was fun. Just recently, Marvel did what 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, I've also done the other version of Jubilee, just the classic. So, um, X-Men is one of my favorite, which is also why the Hellfire Gala is very close to my heart, and all those people. Um, but yeah, I've done Jubilee, X-23, and Magic, which I did for the Hellfire Gala back in March. So yeah,
So, so
I love Marvel. I
no,
love DC too, though. I'm one of those people that if you said Marvel or DC, I'm just kind of, why do I have to choose?
so many things.
So my first comic book cosplay was Supergirl.
We're going to talk about that in a sec.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to talk about Marvel because obviously right now Jubilee is very popular. Obviously, the X-Men are popular. I got a feeling the next few years are going to be even more popular because my understanding of Phase 5 or 6 is that Marvel's doing the X-Men. They're doing Fantastic Four, and that's something that's coming down the pike. And obviously, people relate to the X-Men. I think you've done Rogue as well in this. And so, what is that like? Because the X-Men are not, in my opinion, there's Marvel and then there's the X-Men. I don't consider the X-Men in Marvel the same way that Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor are Marvel.
They're gonna start interweaving them. By next year, you will not be thinking that way.
X-Men, Avengers versus X-Men was a disaster. That comic was a disaster. Interesting idea, but not a great concept. I mean,
Yeah,
Phoenix.
so I don't know if I have it correctly from my understanding. I think there's gonna be more collaborating than versus in the
Oh,
future.
I think if you had X-Men versus the Avengers in a movie, and you had like a 3-parter, oh my god, that would be a fun movie. That'd be amazing. It would be amazing with Dark Phoenix. Oh my god, just give me the money. Just take my money and make it like a showdown and make people die and make it like Marvel Black, like DC Black. Oh my god, they won't do $1 billion. They'll do like 6 billion in like a weekend. If you killed Captain America and then Iron Man killed like Cyclops, oh my god, you would make so much money. It would be unbelievable. My Disney stock would soar up like a beast.
Oh, I don't know. So since you've brought up Dark Phoenix, who I've also cosplayed, um, I'm going to talk about Jean for a minute.
Go
So
for it.
the thing that I love about Jean is that like she is this in the beginning, she is so like just intelligent, more mild mannered and everything. But I think she's one of those people that kind of like holds in. She's the mediator, tries to keep everybody calm. And then when Dark Phoenix happens, it's like all of that keeping everybody else calm, letting that all that boiled up inside kind of just kind of like what really happens with us, with people that have that type of personality, you know what I mean? That are that kind of problem solver, kind of mediator, kind of they hold everything in. They try to, and I think a lot of I mean, I'm sure males too, but I think a lot of females can really relate to Jean Grey and then the becoming of Dark Phoenix, you know?
So let's actually talk about that a little bit as far as cosplay goes, because obviously Jean is very much classic X-Men. I think a lot of us, grew up, seeing X1, X2, X3, kind of the Dark Phoenix stuff. And then obviously they did Apocalyptic, they did shoot, I can't think of X-Men
Or,
Days of Future Past.
or
Um,
my generation, it's more X-Men the animated series.
that too. Um, I was like 5 when that came out. I'm 30, so I don't remember that too much. But I should rewatch it though. I should rewatch it. I should absolutely rewatch it. It's fantastic.
Well,
Um,
it's funny because real quick, well, when I took Jubilee, classic Jubilee, to a con for the first time, because she was only in the movie when she like started the arcade game for them so they could play, and then like maybe a total of 15 minutes. Everybody was like, "So who are you? Who are you?" And I was like, "Wow!" And this was the right before COVID. This was the con right before COVID, and then after COVID, I was with a friend who was Jubilee, and all of a sudden there was like 12 other Jubilees. Everybody knows who she is now. It's like, wow, just 3 years, and all of a sudden everybody understands, you know, who she
so,
is.
so what is this like? Because obviously, old school X Men, '90s X Men, a little bit
Mhm.
of early 2000 X Men is now becoming popular, and it's
Yeah.
now becoming more, I guess, viewed, and people are now getting it. Versus, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, it wasn't popular. And even Dark Phoenix, now people
Mhm.
know. Obviously, a lot of stuff just dropped with Mystique, and I don't think you cosplayed Mystique. I could be wrong, but the idea is that this concept of all of these X-Men characters, for whatever reason, right now are really popular. And so, what is that like for you as a cosplayer that this stuff is now kind of caught fire and is the new thing to look at? Because the X-Men, more so than I feel Mary Jane, or even something like, Hela, from Thor, and that to me isn't really where the focus is. The focus is on the X-Men as far as I feel Marvel cosplays go at the moment.
I think the focus is there right now just because of Hugh Jackman and the classic yellow suit release and the Deadpool. I mean, there's just so much hype about that right now. And, I have a friend, the Real Weapon X, who just got his new yellow suit. And I'm dying to see all these, classic, the yellow suit, it's fun. And so I think that just brought it up to the forefront. So now everybody's like, oh, yeah, let's take it back. Let's do this. So I think that's probably why.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think that it's really cool when stuff gets, I guess, re-brought out and reestablished, and when the '90s are hot again, and 2000s, and going back a little bit into the '80s. I mean, right now, I was born in '93, and so I don't remember the '90s all that much. But what I do remember is stuff like the Spice Girls and the Backstreet Boys was a little bit of the '90s going into 2000s, and obviously, that stuff is really, really hot right now. And it's kind of cool to see all this stuff kind of come back in that like 15-year span of the first 15 years of my life. Like all that stuff is hot now. And it's so, so interesting. At least for me, it is. I don't know.
And Pokemon too,
Yes, yes, Pokemon is unbelievable, and it's a bad habit. So oh
It's a great habit. I mean, come on, Pokemon gets you walking now.
my gosh.
It's healthy now. It's not just sitting and playing a card game anymore. It now has you out walking and catching Pokemon.
Oh, I still play the card game. It's an amazing card game.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Oh my god, and oh man, I'm a card collector too. I'm terrible. I am absolutely terrible. I spend real money on Pokemon cards. That's the problem. It's a terrible habit. But I digress. I digress. I do want to back out of Marvel though a little bit and dive into DC because obviously you mentioned Supergirl, and I love Supergirl. I think there's only one artist who does Supergirl right, and that is Michael Turner. I think Michael Turner is the best Supergirl cover artist ever because that guy,
Mhm.
and when obviously rest in peace, Michael Turner, unbelievable artist. But what is that like? Because I feel that Superman is the heart and soul of America in so many ways. He's everything that is sort of the American way. And then Supergirl is kind of a fun version of that that's more relatable. And so what is that like for you to cosplay? Because I feel with Supergirl, we get a little bit more of a badass feel, and we don't have to be so prime and prep like Superboy or Superman, I should say.
So I think Supergirl and Superman are so fun, especially when I get to cosplay them with a counterpart. Um, because the kids, no matter what age they are, they know who you are. And um, so I'll share my experience because I did do the bear, went and delivered the bears to children with cancer as Supergirl. And I was kind of walking and I got near the room and I'm with Batman and Superman. And I look in the room and I'm like, oh, it's a 14-year-old boy. He doesn't want me to come in, and he doesn't want this bear. And he like all of a sudden, like just as that thought is going through my head, he kind of glances over and this big smile came on his face and he's like this. And I turn around to see if the guys are actually, they hadn't caught up to me yet. And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe he does want me, it's okay that. And, so I went in and then the Batman and Superman come around the corner and they're like, okay, let's go. And so we go in and the guy's like, oh my gosh, is the bear for me? And he's like, yeah. And we're like, yeah, it's for you. And he's like, that's awesome. He goes, I'm going to give it to my little sister. She's going to absolutely love this. I'm so glad you guys came in to see me. And he goes, I love Supergirl and Superman. This is so awesome. And I was just like, it's like, wow, why did I let that thought get in my head of, but it's great. All ages, even the little ones.
What is that like? Because obviously, I think cosplay is fascinating. When you're obviously there are certain characters that people know. Everybody knows Captain America. Everybody knows Iron Man now. Everybody knows Wonder Woman. Everybody knows Superman. Everybody knows Batman. Everybody knows Supergirl. Probably Green Lantern's not that hard to figure out. Flash is pretty obvious. I think Thor's up there. Hulk. But then you go into some obscure stuff where not everybody knows who X-23 is. Not everybody knows who Jubilee is. Not everybody knows who Spider-Man Mary Jane is or Spider-Gwen. And so the Spider-Gwen actually might be known. Mary Jane is probably known too. But the point is that not every character is known. And what is that like? Because there is something cool about that.
I can tell you very much what that's like. So on Saturday morning, we were having a Spider-Man shoot and I was like, oh, I just found this new, the Black Cat comics and a new version of Mary Jane partnered up with Black Cat and my camera. There we go. And partnered up with Black Cat. And I was like, I like this, where she later ends up impersonating Black Cat and going out and doing what Black Cat does. But the entire day, everybody's like, that's an awesome Black Widow. And I was like, okay, I don't have, because I didn't have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I had no guns or holsters. I had no belt. But all day long, I was just like, okay, so I just had to like tell myself, I'm going to be called Black Widow all day. And I just have to let people know that I'm Mary Jane Watson from the new Black Cat comics. And so I was really worried that when I went to the Spider-Man shoot that everybody was going to be like, you're not supposed to be here. So I was like, okay. So I just did the big Marvel shoot as her. And then I went ahead and because I was changing back because our booth was actually DC for the day. So I then changed into my new Power Girl cosplay, which everybody knew. And that one was much more recognized. So it was really weird to go from very unknown character, even though Mary Jane Watson is a well-known character, just that version of her was not well-known, to a one that everybody was like, oh, hey, Power Girl, come here. Oh, Power Girl, come here. So So yeah, so that was uh, very good day to see the difference of both sides of a character.
I can imagine. I can imagine. And speaking about characters that people may or may not know, you did Wonder Girl. And for those who don't know who Wonder Girl is, she is, I guess, sort of the next version of. She's the third version, technically,
Yeah.
of Wonder Woman or lineage wise, and it's very Teen Titan esque because I think there is Diana who is Wonder Woman, then you have Donna Troy, and you have Casey. And I know Casey was with Superboy in the Teen Titans in 2004, and after Superboy died, or she might have been cheating with Robin, and then Superboy dies. I mean, it's a dark book, everybody. I'm sorry, it's great writing. It's great writing. When the Teen Titans are all cheating on each other, and they have to still be a team. Oh, it's great. I digress though. What is that like? Because that is a character that is massively off Broadway, for lack of a better word.
I got to start off with she is my most comfortable cosplay ever because I get to wear my totally own clothes. I already own the Adidas and the pants, and I did have to custom make my shirt, because and I had to even draw her emblem and hand paint it onto the shirt because they don't make a iron-on for her. They make tons of iron-ons for Wonder Woman, but none for her. And but I was really actually pretty excited because I went to the first con that I wore at, and I had a vendor from the end of the hall run to make sure that I didn't turn down a different aisle. Oh my gosh, can you come take a photo at my booth? She goes, this is my favorite character. I've never seen anybody cosplay her before. She's like, you just made my entire convention. And of course, as a cosplayer, when you hear somebody, one person, say that you just made their entire convention, their day, whatever, it's like, it was worth it. All the work that I did, all the hand painting that I did, all the sewing for her gauntlets, all of it, it was worth it because that one person, it made their day. So as
So,
obscure as she was and as many people that didn't know who she was, that one person did.
so what is that like? Because obviously, and I guess this is even bigger than more general, is that obviously everybody at a con does Harley Quinn. And there's characters where you go
Mm.
to a con, it's going to be 15 to 20, if not 50, if not 100 of them, depending on the size of the con. But then, and that's okay. And it's kind of fun to see somebody else doing it. But I also think there gets a point where you want to be different and you want to do something that there's
Mm.
fewer. Obviously,
Yeah.
if you're at a con of 50,000 people, it's going to be very hard to be a one of one cosplayer at that con, no matter what character you pick, unless you're going really off into third, fourth, seventh generation. I mean, if you're doing plus and minus at a con from the Teen Titans, God bless you. If I see one of those and then you're legally of age, I will buy both of you a drink, is all I'm going to say, because I think they're the funniest characters ever in Teen Titans. But anyway, I digress on that point. But what is that like to really be Casey and Wonder Girl? Because I don't really think there would be another one if there was 10,000 or 15,000 people at a con.
I've never
And
met another one. Never.
because I would imagine that it feels good to be the only one who's doing that character and be like, cool, I'm filling a niche that isn't in this con at the moment. Even if tabling money, tabling economics, it's a nice feeling to be like, I have an idea that I'm the only one doing.
Yeah.
So what is that like? Because I think that sometimes people in cosplay forget it, that you don't need a million people to recognize you, but there's one or two or five people are like, oh, I know this character and I've never seen it before.
Well, I did when I wore her the second time, I did arrange, one of my friends did Wonder Woman. I had a whole group of friends that were doing the Teen Titans. So I did have a group so that we could do some group stuff together and walk around together at the second con. But it's pretty cool because a lot of people, they come up to you and they're like, "Tell me who your character is." And they're like, "Are you Wonder Woman?" And I'm like, "No, I'm her sidekick, who she reluctantly has to train." So, but yeah, so I think it's but on the flip side, like what you were saying about the Harley Quinns, to answer that one from both the cosplayer and the photographer point of view, um, when I'm a photographer, if I get a whole bunch of Harley Quinns together, I think that like always makes for a fun photo. But when you're doing like your 20th Harley Quinn for the day and you're shooting, it's like, okay, I can't really think of anything original anymore to, okay, let's bring the hammer up. Let's put the hammer in front of us and look cute. Let's um so so back to what we had been talking about before, that maybe the photographer isn't snubbing a person. Maybe they burnt out on the character you're doing. Maybe they've already photographed 15 other people doing that character. But then from the cosplayer point of view, I always think it's fun. Like, I was at Dragon Con. I did not cosplay Barbie, but oh my gosh, how many Barbies there were. And they were just walking around the con doing the whole, "Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie." And I just like, you know, that's exactly how it should be with every character. So if you're like all Harleys, "Hey, Harley, I'm a Harley from Earth 2. I'm Harley from Earth 4, whatever." Um, and try to get, if you do see a big, you know what? Hey, let's all Harleys meet up in the main lobby at 2 o'clock and get just this humongous Harley photo. And I think that as a cosplayer, if I found a lot of people doing the same character as me, I would want a group photo to be able to say, like, look at all the different variations you can do. Not everybody looks exactly the same. It's like, this person decided to do this hairstyle. They made their shirt this way. They did, this person decided to mix Barbie and Harley. And so instead of black and red, they're doing gray and pink, but it's totally adorable. So it's just fun to get to see other ideas and other brains that are in the same fandoms as you and enjoy the same characters as you, and then, make friends.
No, I enjoy mashups. I really do. I
Oh, yeah,
enjoy.
mashups are fun.
I really really enjoy mashups, and I've seen some funny ones. My
If you
favorite.
don't know my friend Beth Cosplay, she is the queen of mashups.
I don't know who that is. I'm gonna go look that person up now on Instagram. But
But yeah, so my Supergirl Mario Brother mashup, that was her group. So that was something I did for her. So it was fun.
my favorite mashup of all time was Aaron Yeager, but it wasn't Aaron Yeager. You know those big plastic inflatable like bottles that you blow up? Somebody did Attack on Titan, but they did 2 inflatable Jaeger bottles
Oh,
on the side, and they didn't have a sword. That's all they had, so they're walking around this con in the whole getup of Attack on Titan, but instead of the swords and, like, the blades, they just have the 2 Jaeger bottles. I was
two
like
beer oh my gosh, that's
I was
funny.
I was like, "This is," and then they had Mikasa, and she did the exact same thing, and I'm like, "That is brilliant. That is so brilliant," because literally the only mod was no weapons and a Jaeger bottle, like, a big inflatable Jaeger bottles on the side. I was like, "This is brilliant. This is the most
That's
brilliant
funny.
thing."
That's very funny.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was one of the funniest things because I have I'm surprised that more people didn't copy it because I haven't seen it since. And I'm like, this is really, really, really smart. But I digress. I do like to talk about magic, and I know you're a Harry Potter fan. And you've done Harry, you've done this character.
Yes, I have.
You've done Trolley, I think, or Trelawney.
Trelawney.
Yeah, I can't say these names. You've done Trunks, which I have a Pop Funko of that. I was just lazy to find it. You've done McGonagall. I think you've done a few others. You've done some Slytherin stuff. I think you've done Ginny, the Weasley children. And so, what is this like? Because Harry Potter is here to stay, guys. It's here to stay.
So, well, Harry Potter is like special to me because like when my girls were first starting to read and everything, the Harry Potter books came out and I was reading it with them. And then when I was pregnant with my last child, the one of the books, I want to say the fifth book came out. I can't remember which book it was, came out. And I was like, I'm not going to read it till I'm at the hospital. I'm not going to read it till I'm at the hospital. And like my husband, like, he goes, that's your hospital book. Okay, I'm not going to read it till the hospital. So I kept trying to sneak it. And then my daughter was actually born on July 31st, which is Harry Potter's birthday. And I was reading the whole book in the hospital and finished it. So yeah, but I've always really just loved magic. I love witches. I love wizards. It's something that I enjoy. So
So what is that like? Because obviously Harry Potter is extremely recognizable, and most characters are extremely recognizable from Harry Potter. And when you go around a con as Harry Potter, obviously people still love it. People are infatuated with it. I don't think it's ever going to go out of style at all. And so, what is that like? Because it's kind of cool to go through a legacy property in cosplay, what I view as legacy properties. And, obviously people relate to it still. And it invokes memories for obviously somebody like me. I'm 30. And, when I have kids, I'm going to be hopefully reading Harry Potter with them. And so if they go to a con, I go to a con, they're 10, I'm 50. I'm going to see Harry Potter. They're going to see it. And they're like, oh, we're going to have a weird moment. It's going to be interesting, right? Like, so what is that like? Because I don't think it's anymore for a younger generation. It's also
yeah.
older generation. It's a weird property in that regard.
So McGonagall, who is my it's everybody's favorite. My favorite Hogwarts character is Nymphadora Tonks, but everybody else's favorite that I do is Professor McGonagall. So when I go to a con as Professor McGonagall, I normally have a sorting hat with me. If I am working a booth, I will have a stool, the sorting hat, and I will actually sort people. I ask them like 5 or 6 questions, and and then from there I sort them, and and of course they, just like the real sorting hat, they get a say, and just have a little bit of fun with that, and yeah, everybody loves it. The kids love it. The parents. So sometimes it'll be the parents going, "Hey, go see McGonagall. Go see Mc," and then it's like, "Did you want a picture?" Because I don't think they want a picture. And then the parents like, because the kids like, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I do a very obscure version of Nymphadora Tonks because I have multiple versions of her, and not many people know her in her Muggle costume because most people have seen the movies but may not have read the books. And so, well, since we're talking about this, let's talk about how all of my. So I only did Nymphadora and McGonagall originally, but then COVID hit. And during COVID, I started a reading channel for kids because I'm a teacher. And students needed to have their reading hours. And reading hours can either be them reading to themselves, somebody reading to them. And a lot of parents with multiple kids can't sit there and read 45 minutes to each, kid at their grade level. So I was like, you know what? Instead of just my kid reading channel, I'm going to also read the Harry Potter series. And you know what? I'm going to do it in cosplay. So every Sunday, I would read in cosplay. And I started with Aunt Petunia because, the first chapter is all about her being horrible to Harry. And I read it in her voice, her being horrible to Harry and loving on her little Dudley. And I had so much fun. And then, so every Sunday I read in cosplay. And the rest of the week I read an hour each day. And the rest of the week I would not wear cosplay. And then the following Sunday would be cosplay Sunday again. And so that's how I developed all my different Harry Potter characters. So yeah, I have some very obscure ones because I have Madame Puttyfoot, who owns the tea shop, who I don't think I've ever seen anybody else cosplay. And of course, I have Fleur Delacour, which lots of people love to cosplay her. I do Ginny Weasley. I do Luna Lovegood. I even took my Luna Lovegood to London to went to the Universal Studios there. And yeah, so that's just, and then I got to the point of, I'm running out of characters. So I did a gender bent Draco Malfoy. So I did a female Draco. I did Harry as a boy. Yeah, so that's how my Harry Potter thing came about. And then when it ended, I was like, wow, I have all these costumes. And like I made Peeves. I sewed some pants. I took shirts, turned it into a vest, and created Peeves, which won a cosplay contest during COVID online. And yeah, so it was just like, let me see what other character I can come up with. I either would sew something up or pull something out of my closet and put it together. So that's how the Harry Potter, and I think I have not counted, but somebody else counted. And I want to say that they said I had like 92 different Harry Potter versions and stuff. So I don't know, because I have 3 different versions of Molly Weasley. I have, Rita Skeeter. I don't know. I think I should probably go count and see how many I have. I do not have Madame Hooch yet, but now I'm kind of thinking, because my sister just started cosplaying with me, I'm thinking I'm going to make my sister do Professor Sprout, and then maybe I'll do Madame Hooch. I don't know, because I can't do contacts, and one of the very characteristic things about her is her eyes. So, but sorry, I rambled because you talked about Harry Potter. So, but yeah.
I was just letting you speak because again, I am not that in depth. I read all 7 books. I enjoyed them. They're fantastic. So all 8 movies. I enjoyed those movies. They were great. I didn't see the prequels yet, but it should be interesting to see that at some point. I think this is
yeah, you should definitely watch them. I do both the book Bellatrix and the movie Bellatrix.
So I think that there's 8 movies. There was 1 or 2 prequels, right? And then there was another like 2 or 3 that took place in the world of Harry Potter that are related to it, but it's a pretty big franchise, right? What are there, like 13?
Well, all the prequels and Crimes of Grindelwald and all those are the prequels, so they're all the same.
Isn't there something like
the Fantastic Beasts, the Crimes of all those are?
Is Fantastic Beasts a prequel, or is it? I thought
it happens before.
Because I thought the Crimes of Grindelwald was definitely a prequel, and I thought that the Fantastic Beasts took place before. I didn't think it was Is it? Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they all lead into it. So like Luna Lovegood ends up marrying Newt Scamander's grandson.
I did not know all this,
It's
and
canon.
I guess it is. I guess it is. I mean, again, I didn't see those 4 or 5 movies. I just didn't get around to it. I've been busy. It's just one of those things where I just didn't see it, and I'd rather read the book. Books are usually better, in my opinion.
I always love the books, and if I can, I will cosplay the book version of the character before I cosplay the movie version.
So what is this like though for you to do like 92 to like 100 of Harry Potter-esque cosplays? Obviously incorporated into something that's not just cosplay, have a purpose behind it, and then kind
Yeah,
of
I think that made it very easy, having the reason to do it and the kids to do it for. I think that made it easy to do and a lot more fun. So
I don't know how you have the energy to do it. I can barely like wake up and go to work. It's just like I'm hearing you and I'm like, how does this woman have energy? I can barely like tie my shoes. I could barely cook breakfast in the morning, and I'm like,
that's funny. Well, I love reading and I love sharing the love of reading. And, and like I said, those kids needed those hours anyways, so why not share it with them? And I also had a reading time for the younger kids, for the preschool through second grade, where I read little golden books and the Disney books, and every once in a while I would did not do those ones regularly in cosplay, but every once in a while I would do them in cosplay. So like if because for the older kids, after I did the Harry Potter series, I did the Fablehaven series. And so I still did, but then I only did the first Sunday of the month. I did not do every Sunday. So because it was getting like, oh, how am I going to make this out of what I have it, because we're still in lockdown. So I wasn't able to go out to Joann's and buy material. I was ordering material online, having it shipped to my house and making stuff. And so, yeah.
man, I wouldn't even know what to do with this. I mean, I started this whole thing in COVID, and I'm like, cool, this is great. And I was doing a lot of interviewing, and I still am, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. And my purpose was that people were getting screwed over, so they needed help and they needed media, and that was my thought. And I was happy to do a bunch of stuff, and I thought it was going to be temporary, and it wasn't. So there you go. But since you mentioned Disney, you've done a bunch of stuff in Disney. Some of this stuff I absolutely love, and some of it I'm a little unfamiliar with. But I know you've done Tinkerbell, and obviously we all know Tinkerbell. And then you did Merida from Brave. I think it's how you say her name.
Yeah.
Um, you've done this from The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is the least one I'm familiar with, oddly enough. I know Snow White well. I'm very familiar with Elsa because I like to let it snow and let it go, and that's always good. What are they on? Are they on number 4 yet? Of Frozen?
I have no idea.
I know they did.
My children grew up, and I now do not know what number they're on.
The only reason why I know Frozen is because I was in Target and they had ice cream that was Disney, and they
Oh,
had Mickey Mouse and they had Frozen ice cream, right? Like obviously the ice cream was Frozen. Everybody, I want to make that crystal clear, but it was Frozen like the movie Frozen. And
the Frozen themed ice cream.
yes, and it was like cotton candy mint chocolate chip. It was like some like weird thing that just sounded so amazing, and it was great. I had it and I ate it and it was magical in my mouth. It was just magical, and then I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. It's frozen ice cream. And then I took a picture and I put it on Facebook, and people were like, no shit, Andrew, it's frozen ice cream. And then but that's how I know Frozen. It is the most like amazing ice cream I've ever had. And then I went to Target the next day and bought another
That's
top
funny.
of it. Well worth the $5, $5 to $6. Well worth it. well worth it. And then like 2 weeks later, they're all out of it, and I cried. I was devastated.
It
It
was seasonal.
it was they still had Mickey. They still had Mickey, but they didn't have Elsa. And I was devastated. And like the thing looked like it was like purple and blue, and like it looked like a Disney princess, like in ice cream. It was amazing. The
Well,
whole thing was amazing.
Mickey's year round, you know. Elsa is seasonal. She's only winter.
Yeah, if they ever have it, I'm gonna buy like 10 of them. And that's how I know Frozen. That's why Frozen is special to me. Um, and then my favorite thing is Kim Possible. I love Kim Possible. I think Kim Possible is brilliant. I think I have a very different opinion of Kim Possible too. I watched Kim Possible slightly intoxicated. And I've seen all 6 seasons, and I have to say that is a fantastic show to watch on Jack. That is a fantastic show. And then I followed that up with uh, Jake Long, the American Dragon,
Oh, I love Jake Long.
also drinking, and that was a great show too. Yeah, I love Disney. So,
Yeah.
so
And now the Disney Plus, you can watch just about everything.
wait till they combine it with Hulu. That's coming. It's coming. Come March. It's gonna be fun. Getting
So,
Hulu and Disney getting a merger. It's gonna be great. Which
well, I
means
love being able to watch The Mandalorian and all of those as
so
well.
so what is this like though? Because all jokes aside of Disney, obviously I love Disney. I think Disney is a fantastic company. I think they're gonna make me a good chunk of change in the stock market in the long run. And I think that they have a lot of great content, a lot of healthy content, a lot of fun content. Obviously, I am 30, so a bunch of the stuff that I mentioned, I grew up seeing, and some of it is also legacy. And what is that like? Because everybody knows certain of this. Everybody knows Snow White. Everybody knows Tinkerbell. Everybody knows
You'd
Elsa.
be surprised.
Really?
I went to an event as Snow White, and all the parents and grandparents knew who I was, but the kids did not. And I was like so shocked, but the kids all knew who Cinderella and Elsa were. So it's like, it was one of those moments of, Snow White is the parents' princess, you know? So I was actually really surprised that, because like my kids, you know, we had every single princess DVD, and my kids would watch every single one of them over and over and over, and were well versed in every single Disney princess. But I guess like nowadays it's Cinderella and Elsa are the only ones that get rewatched over and over and over and over again. So
Well, well,
so I
well.
definitely get a much bigger response when I do Cinderella or Elsa. One of the cities by us had a magical snow night. And so I heard about it. So I told my husband, and I knew that this artificial snow company is located there. So I assumed they were going to have that artificial snow company come out and do a little snow thing and make a little sledding area for the kids, because they had done that when my kids were younger, and they had come up here to my area and done it at the library in the parking lot and made snow grounds because it doesn't snow right here. And the kids were able to sled and make snowmen and everything for the entire day. And so I thought it was going to be something like that. But I was like, let's go do an Elsa photo shoot. So we drove, and it's about an hour and a half away. And we get there, and it's soap bubbles that they had coming out of the top of one of the buildings, and just it was very effective, and I got great photos from it. But as soon as it was time, because there was like 3 times that they were doing, like they were doing it every 20 minutes, I think, all the kids would come run, and then they'd be like, Elsa, Elsa, and all the parents wanted. And I'm trying to get pictures of me with the snow. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, come on, let's take a picture real quick. So then I ended up taking so many pictures with kids and everything. But luckily my photographer who's my husband, was able to get a lot of photos of me too.
I was speaking with Cheap Geek Photography
Yeah.
met Ange, the geek. I was speaking with both of them separately, and I forget who it was. If he was taking the shot of Cinderella, and as soon as he took it, like a bus stopped, and all these kids came out, and it was like a whole thing with Cinderella, and like I just started laughing when either she told me the story or he told me the story. I forget who did, but I just started laughing hysterically. I
Yeah,
just started
but
laughing.
as a character, you just have to be prepared for those things because it happens.
As like a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old or even a 7-year-old, I could see it. I could see it a mile away. I could see it a mile away. And like I've called things and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, you know what I find the funniest is when you get the 11 to 14-year-olds who are trying to be cool, but they really, really want a picture with the Disney princess. And you can see them kind of walking back and forth on the outskirts with their friends. And sometimes I'll see the friends going, I dare you, I dare you, you know. But then I think that actually gives them an out. And then they're able to be like, okay, I'll take that dare. And they'll walk up and goes, hey, my friends say I can't get a photo with you. Can I have a photo with you? And, you know, they'll take the photo and then all their friends start laughing, but you can see that they're like, yes, yes, I got a picture with the princess.
See. I am a total big kid. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and there is no doubt in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, it's that wrestler. And like, I want a photo, and I'm that guy. And then it's absolutely great.
Yeah, that's why I say it's the 11 to 15, because once they're 15, they don't care what their friends think anymore. Hey, I like Cinderella. I'm going to go get a photo with Cinderella. Or I like Jubilee. I'm going to go get a photo with Jubilee. Then it's cool to stand on your own ground again. I mean, I think it's cool all the time, but that 11 to 14, I think it's hard.
I could see
Yeah.
that. I could see that, but I think it's funny. But and then obviously, I mean, I just love Kim Possible, and I think Kim Possible
Yeah.
is brilliant. And I just watched a video of her voice actress, and oh my God, her talking about her money. Oh my gosh,
I have a friend that does Raw Unstoppable, and I just can't wait until
I
we
love.
are able to line it up and my Kim Possible and his Raw Unstoppable are on the same day.
Will Friedle is like the nicest person. He plays Ron Stoppel. He is the nicest person ever. Um, I spoke to him briefly. It was wonderful, really cool circumstance. Different story for a different day. I've told the story like 20 times. The basic thing is that I got a sketch by Dan Jurgens on a Batman Beyond book, and Will Friedle plays Terry McGinnis from Batman
Oh,
Beyond.
okay. Yeah.
And so I'm on crutches and I don't want to push my luck. So it's a blank book. Dan Jurgens, who wrote Batman Beyond at the time, signed it, sketched the book because it was a blank cover. It's getting graded. And Dan Jurgens' handler is like, yo, wait right here. Brings me backstage. I get to meet Will Friedle. He says, Will Friedle, I am Batman, dot, 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 dot. CGC, which grades books, everybody sees it. And then now this whole thing is being graded. So now you have a sketched book signed by Dan Jurgens with Will Friedle on the book writing I Am Batman. Because it's Batman Beyond and he's Terry McGinnis / Batman Beyond. And I didn't ask for any of this. I don't want to push my luck. It didn't even occur to me because I'm like, look, I'm on grudges and I don't push my luck. I know when I've won. And I take a victory, even if it's a 75% victory. If I started at 0, I take my victories and I leave as soon as I get in and out because I understand that I can lose more efficiently than anybody else. And so that is a very cool moment. But Will Friedle's a nice human being, and he's amazing as Ron Stoppable. I'm so happy they ended up together. It was so great. It was so wonderful. The last episode, they ended up together. It was amazing. It was amazing. The whole thing was amazing. Just what a great love story. But Taylor was not singing at that point. It's unfortunate. Oh man, her and Travis Kelce. Oh, I'm rooting for him. There's so many things I could say on this show. But I do want to back out of anime, and then we should probably talk about some Disney. We should dive anime because I know you've done a bunch of stuff in anime, and you've done Misty, Skitty, Serena, and some other. So those are the three Pokemons you did, right?
So for Pokemon, I think I've done Misty, Serena, Delcatty, and then I have plans for Nurse Joy and Gothorita, which I'm working on now.
Did you do Skitty
And
too?
no, I only did Delcatty, the evolved version.
Oh, see, I'm so bad at Pokemon.
Yeah, I didn't do the pink version. I did the evolved version where beige and then the purple collar. And so it's funny that they change colors when they evolve, but we went from pink to purple and beige. So yeah, and then I actually won a Pokemon cosplay, which I have not had the opportunity to wear yet because of I was getting ready to do it, and then I had to have the surgery. But I won it from the girl with a great smile, and she just did this amazing build of Giratina, but it's a Monster Hunter Giratina mashup.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to get it on and do a photo shoot with it as soon as my leg finishes healing. And then I'll probably have to wait for it to warm up again. So.
And then you've done some other stuff in anime as well.
Yeah.
Kiki's Delivery Service. I think you did Nier Automata, which is
2B from Nier. Who else have I done?
Yeah, there's a bunch you've done.
Jubilee, X23, Magic, Dark Phoenix.
You go through your Instagram, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting there just going through my brain. I know the ones that Vines from oh my gosh, MHA. Is that right? My Hero Academia. So I did Vines, which is also an obscure character, and I've never seen anybody else cosplay her. And I've only worn one of her versions to a con, but I actually have 3 versions of her. So I have her school uniform version, I have her gym uniform version, which is the one I wore to the con, and I have her toga dress version. So I haven't even photographed the other 2 yet, but I was like, I'm making this huge old wig out of vines. I'm gonna get the most out of it. So I did every version of her I could do. Elaine from 7 Deadly Sins, that's another one. And I'm so horrible with names. My daughter did Bond, and we went and met Bond's voice actor, and I'm just totally blanking on his name right now.
Yeah. I can't help because so many people are in My Hero.
I do Marin from My Dress Up Darling. So I'm totally picking my brain right now. I'm like, you know what? It probably would be easier if I just opened up my Instagram.
You've done a lot of stuff.
So.
And then obviously, anime is just big. And then there's some other stuff you've done. You did Monster High. You did something from Monster High with Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah.
Alice in Wonderland. You did She-Ra. You've touched every position. I think is a fair assessment where you touched every corner.
Well, a lot of the time Powerpuff Girls. I did Powerpuff Girls. A lot of the time it depends on what the charity is looking for, or if my friends say, hey, let's do a photo shoot for this. And I'm like, yeah, I love that. Let's do that. And
what is that like? Because this is an interesting way out of cosplay to some degree, is that a charity wants X and then you build a cosplay for an event, because everybody does this differently, where some people say, look, I'll use my show as an example. I interview whoever I want. I don't have any parameters, and it's my call. I've tried doing it a bunch of other ways. I've tried doing it, raising money for giving up some type of control or guest spots, and that all has failed miserably. And now I run it my way. But I find it
Mm.
interesting that a charity wants X. And like, cool, I like that. This works in my parameters. Cool, now I have a purpose. And so I find it fascinating in that thought process because that is different than somebody saying, I just like this character and I want to cosplay it. And so that's kind of fascinating to me. And I'm curious, like, how does that even change the way you approach building something? Because now there's a reason why before just shooting randomly out into the ether. If that makes any sense.
So, well, for me, there's always a reason. I mean, it's either because it's a character that I love or because somebody needs Snow White at an event, you know? So for me, it's pretty much the same. I mean, and then, as a cosplayer, we're always reinventing. So it's like, I have this version of Snow White, but I'm kind of not liking the way the sleeves fit anymore. So I'm thinking I'm going to rebuild it with a different kind of structure and do something different. But it's still the same character and it's still the same love for the character that I have. I think I've always been drawn to Snow White because I am so fair. And as a kid, I was always teased about being so fair. A lot of people would tease me about how pale I was. And then I think for me, Snow White has a good spot because when I learned about Snow White, it was like, oh, it's okay to have skin as white as snow and to have these unique things. It's okay to be different and to not be like everybody else. And I do think that's also another thing that a lot of cosplayers love is that it's okay to have a love for these fandoms and all these characters because sometimes the reason we love them is because they are so unique. And so, yes, I have learned that princesses and superheroes are definitely what the charities want. They do not want the anime characters that I love. I mean, honestly, my two favorite animes are Dr. Stone and Hunter x Hunter, and I've never cosplayed a single character from either of them. I should. I definitely should cosplay a character from them.
Dr. Stone is great.
Yeah, it's one of my it is. Yeah, it's awesome. And I'm
So
ready for the next season.
I'm actually behind by did they wrap up the last season yet, or are they still pushing out like a few more episodes?
Um, I'm not sure how many we're on because I try to watch them with my is not as lenient as mine. And so it's like we haven't started Ahsoka yet. We just finished The Mandalorian. It's like
Yes, see, I don't really watch much of Disney Plus now because I don't have time. I'm stuck now watching football. So Sunday I'm watching
see,
three.
and that interferes with my watching too, that football. And the fact that they've added all these extra nights, it used to be Sunday night football and Monday night football, but now it's
It gets
and
worse.
Wednesday night and Thursday night and Saturday college
It,
and
it gets worse because that's assuming there's one game on Sunday. Sometimes
yeah.
there's an 11 o'clock game at
Oh no
night.
no no no. Now we have a I don't know what is it a 52-inch big screen. Is that right? 52-inch,
It could be.
and it is football, 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 football. 8 little tiny screens of football all
Yeah,
day long on Sunday.
he has a Sunday pass.
And I'm like sitting there going, is football ever gonna end? Can we please watch? This is not the Cowboys. You are not watching the Cow. Oh, but look, Cindy, your team's over here in the corner. Okay, we'll watch for a little bit. And okay, my team game's done. Let's watch.
Oh man, see, I watch a lot of football, but I'm also at a point where
Well, I mean,
I
when football's done, it's basketball time, and then it's baseball time, and
I'm a big card collector, so I actually don't collect football cards. I just enjoy watching football because it relaxes me, and I'm a huge baseball card collector, and I run a business that's related to it. And I sell a lot of baseball cards and other things and collectibles in that space. So
I have a whole bunch from the 1980s.
that might be a good year. It might be a good year because some of that stuff's worth real money now. It's called eBay for a reason. But
Yeah. I haven't gone through them in a very long time, and my husband has, like, 6 boxes of baseball cards. I only have, like, 2.
I hunt down cards, and I'm really into the space, and I know so much. I know somebody who has a 1953 set. That set is worth a fortune. I think the Mickey Mantle on that set, if he comes back as like a 7, graded by PSA or Beckett, that's like a 90 to $120,000 card, which is insane. So the story for those who don't know is that there was a bunch of them in a warehouse that weren't moving. So the guy went out on a boat and he dumped it into the Hudson. So he dumped 90% of his inventory that didn't sell into the Hudson, and then they're all destroyed. Fast forward to 2023, people want those cards, and like 80% of them are legitly destroyed and disintegrated and evaporated somewhere floating in the Hudson. Um, so it's one of those things where it's just so desirable and there's so few of it. But I digress. Enough about that. That has nothing to do with you. I just have a problem. Yeah, it's crystal clear to me. I have a pretty big problem where I'm into everything. That's collectible. But this will be my retirement and my house in Florida and California and potentially elsewhere. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I am curious though because obviously we've been speaking about a lot of things. You've done a lot of stuff in cosplay, and so what has this been like? Because and the topic I want to touch upon is that you're an older cosplayer, and I'm a big proponent that I think ageism in cosplay is a real issue. I actually think that it's a real problem where there's a bunch of young kids coming up, and I think with photographers and I think with cons, I think that they look at the hot new thing and the shiny thing, and I think that there is a problem where they don't recognize an older cosplayer. And I think there's groups like Cosplay Over 40, and I think it's a real issue in the community because I think it's actually extraordinarily toxic where I think some of these people and some of these cons and a bunch of other people don't view older cosplayers as the equivalent of a 25 or 28-year-old. And I think everybody forgets that Father Time sucks and he's non-discriminatory where everybody gets older. And so you might be 30 in 10 years, you're going to be 40. And I think people have forgotten that life is kind of a circle.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely been a victim of ageism in every aspect. Um, Mostly online because people can hide behind their computer screens and they can say very mean things. But I'm very, very blessed and very lucky because I have a cause family, and in our group, we range from 18 to 60, and we don't see the number. We all cosplay together. We have I'd say like maybe every 3 months we meet up. We have a photo shoot, if not more often. And I'm very, very lucky. I actually had another cosplayer reach out to me asking me, "Do you think you'll leave your cause family because you're older and you feel out of place?" And I said, "The whole reason I consider them my cause family is because I don't feel out of place with them." I said, "If you're feeling out of place with the group of cosplayers that you are associating with, maybe you need to invite some other cosplayers into the circle or find a different group." I was like, but if you love these cosplayers and you want to be with these cosplayers, yeah, you shouldn't let that get to you. Don't get it. Um, I mean, and I'm also really strong believing cosplay the characters that you love because, and it doesn't matter who the character is. You know, if you love that character,
Do
cosplay them.
I mean, let's touch upon that because do you feel, and this is what I see, is that right now cosplay is there's three things going on. There's a bunch of people who just say, "Look, I just enjoy going to a con dressed as this character, and I have no desire for money in this sector. I have no desire for fame. I just want to do this. I have an Instagram account because I just want to share what I love, and I want people to see it." There's other people who say, "Look, I have a purpose, I have a cause, I have an idea where I want to leverage what I'm doing." And then there's the third group, which is trying to make money. And I'll say it the way I'm going to say it. They have Patreons, OnlyFans, loyal fans, you name it, they got it. And they're putting out risque photos, might be a good way to put it, or, suggestive a little bit, or a little risque, or a little suggestive might be a good way to put it. And they're really trying to make money, and they're trying to be guests at cons, they're trying to sell their prints, and they're trying to make a full living doing this. And that's what I think some of this nastiness comes out of, is some of this nastiness comes out of the idea that you have to take out somebody so you get rung up on the ladder. And I think it is a problem. I mean, I think the word professional cosplayer is a very dangerous word, because that implies, I first off, I don't think cosplay can be a profession. First and foremost, I think that is a ridiculous statement personally, because I think cosplay can be a lucrative hobby. I think you can make money as a model, but I think professional cosplayer is an extremely dangerous word because it divides the purpose of cosplay, and it ranks it when it shouldn't be ranked. And
Well, I
that's
think there are a lot of people that actually make a living. Like I have friends that actually make a living from cosplay. I mean, me myself, I'm a teacher, and I just do it because the first two, I enjoy it or for a cause. You know, I'm not out there trying to make a profit. And honestly, it's very hard to make a profit because unless you have people donating you your materials, and because sewing is not cheap anymore. Sometimes to make your cosplay costs three times as much as to buy a pre-made one.
it's interesting because I also think that if you are in the business of you're making a living from cosplay, I think that you also have to realize that at any given point, if your fans turn on you, they become economically unstable. And look, I mean, we just went through and I don't know, the economy is not where it's going. People are terrified. I'm in a consumer driven business where I buy and sell comics. I'm well aware of what the nature of my business looks like. And I cannot imagine that if you're a cosplayer, you're pulling in the same money that you were a year and a half ago. I don't
Yeah.
think you are.
Well, I'm
And
noticing that everybody actually is struggling right now because even the conventions that we go to, um, there's a lot more looky loo going on than there is purchasing. People are being very picky. I mean, like even me myself, I make my kids walk the entire con and see everything. And
ooh,
then if they see something they like, remember what booth it's at, and we'll come back. And then we go back once they're like, okay, this is what I want to spend my money on.
I take an even crazier approach. I go to a con, so I haven't been to a con in 4.5 years. I assign my money where it's going before I even go to the con.
Yeah.
So I don't even need to go to a booth. I know exactly what I want. I don't look around. I say I got $1,000, and this money's doing this. This money has this job. This money has this job. I got $1,000. That money is divided up. And you know what it is? Let's say somebody doesn't show up where I want my money to go, or the item's not there. That means that money just stays in my wallet. There is no replacement, meaning that my dollar has a mission. And so my wallet, I feel no pain, all in cash. I have no regrets. Every single Monday, I have no regrets at a con. And that was when the economy was tougher. and better and in a better position. Now the economy is in a rough place. I am well aware that if I go to a con, I got $500. I'm going to know every dollar is going to an area, because guess what? It simplifies it and it makes it so that it's easy for me to function. And I don't
Yeah.
have regret, because regret is horrible for me. And so I think, in my view is that I think it's getting very complicated. And I mean, I think you answered part of it, but again, I'm just curious what you see, because I haven't been to a con. I don't know what it's like on the cosplay side, but I know from my pop culture experience, everybody's getting hammered, and I'm feeling it. Where I mean, in the first 3 months or 3 quarters of this year, I was doing like 7, 8 grand a month in my business. Now in November and December, I'll be thrilled if I do five, but it's looking more like three. And that's a big drop down. Now I've been a little less aggressive because it's Christmas. I understand, but my real question is that what does this look like in February and March? Because if I'm back at 7 or 8 grand in February or March, I'm not concerned. But I don't think I'm gonna be. And it's not a merch problem, because the merch I carry is great, but that has to translate over to everybody else. And so
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about the industry, about pop culture in general, but because I don't want somebody not to make money in cosplay and be economically unstable.
So, yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be
yeah,
wrong.
who knows? I mean, you just don't know. All I know is that, like, even the people I talked with at LACC, just walking around, how the booth do? It did okay, not as, great as last year, but it did good. It's like we at least made back our spot. And
Oh, that's painful. I can imagine. This is why I don't want to booth at a con, because I can't
yeah,
afford to lose money. I sell on eBay because eBay takes a percentage at the end. So if a sale's not made, I don't lose money. And that's where I'm at as an individual, because I'm realizing that this is complicated. And even with cosplay, I mean, it's complicated. And again, I haven't been to a con in 4.5, 5 years, and I don't know if I want to go back. I don't know if I want to go back. New York Comic Con kind of scared me, to be honest. People got sick at that con, and no offense, I don't want to be sick.
yeah.
Con,
I think there's a risk of getting sick no matter what con you go to. I mean,
fair
or
enough.
wherever you go.
I- I'll,
So,
I'll put this a different way. New York Comic Con is very, very tight. I went to Awesome Con because I used to live in DC. That con is much spacious. It's more spacious.
okay.
The aisles are wider, and there's also room in the con floor where all the vendors are, at like the front and back end, where it's more where you got space. So I want to be in a convention that has more space and is not as tight.
Yeah,
Because
luckily my friends that went to New York, none of them got sick. I did hear about some people getting sick, but
yeah, but it is what it is. But yeah, but I don't have anything else to talk. I think we covered a lot of stuff, but I do want to give you a chance to self promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, follow you on social media, hit you up, Instagram, Cash App, TikTok, all
yeah.
that fun stuff, PayPal, Snapchat. I mean, we got all of them. I mean,
Yeah, my link tree is on my Instagram, and my Instagram is just Sindiroo COSplays with an S at the end and an S at the beginning. And and I'm the same on Facebook and the same on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And I do not have a TikTok. I have not ventured out to that. I mean, I've actually trying to think when I think I got my Instagram in 2018 only because somebody else told me I needed to get one. And so they're like, you need one. And before, all of my stuff used to all be on my art and photography page, which is just Cindy Rue. And so when my daughter came home from college, I'm like, here, somebody said I need an Instagram for my cosplay. And so she created me one, and it went from there. And I do have a giveaway coming up. My favorite number is 4, and I'm almost to 4 fours in followers. So once I get there, I'll be doing a giveaway, and I'm planning to give away 4 items. I know for sure one of them is a signed 8x10 of my Supergirl, my newest Supergirl, a Supergirl Funko Pop keychain, and then some stickers. And I haven't figured out what the 4th item is yet. But I only have 20 more people till I get there, so I probably should figure out what the 4th item is pretty quick, because I wanted to give away 4 items for my giveaway of 4444.
You say that 4 times more.
I know, 4 more times. So yeah, 4,444 followers. 4 fours.
So many things I could say. So many things. So many jokes. So many jokes. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep saying it. I've been saying it for a while, and I'm gonna say it until everybody does it. You have to support people who are doing cool things. You have to support cosplayers, and the way you go do that is you follow them on social media. You actually like what they put out on social media. You share out their posts, whether that's on Facebook, whether that's on Instagram, whether that's on X, wherever they're at. Obviously, if they have merch, that's extremely important. If they're at a con, which hopefully they announce on their social media, you go see them at a con. If they're doing something with a charity, or if they're doing something elsewhere, or they're doing something where they're signing, you should support them there. If they do have things like Cash App, PayPal, whatever it is, that's
Yeah,
also helpful.
it's
Patreons.
really nice how many people came to my booth this past weekend, just as like, hey, I follow you on Instagram and I saw you're going to be here, so I came to say hi. So exactly what you're saying. I mean, they didn't need to do anything, just saying hi. It was nice.
It goes a long way. It goes a long way, everybody. And then, as far as I'm concerned with me, obviously I'm Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube, Pop Anime Comics on TikTok. Obviously I have a website, Pop Anime Comics. I have an eBay store, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And you don't have to buy anything from me, everybody. But I do appreciate when people follow me on social media, subscribe on YouTube, comment on YouTube, share out my content, follow me on TikTok, check out my Instagram, anything, say hi to me, shoot me a message. Anything is extraordinarily helpful because it does make a difference. And believe me, when somebody says, "Hey, I really enjoyed your interview with so and so," it is so helpful. And it goes, I mean, I like money. Trust me, everybody. I like money. It's helpful too.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm having a rough day, and somebody's like, "Yo, really enjoyed this interview you did with so and so," and it goes a long way. And I don't think people realize how far it can go. And subscribing or following me on any of my platforms goes a long way too. And I would imagine it does for you as well. So that's something to keep in the back of everybody's head, that it is free. And I have been saying this for a while. I cannot promise if you watch my content that you will get smarter. I can pretty much not promise that, but I can assure you, you will be entertained. So that's everything that I got, and I'm going to give you the final word.
So just thanks for letting me be here. Thank you, anybody who does take the time to watch it. I appreciate it. And
I don't think I could have said that any better myself, everybody. And that is a